truck brands ranked worst to best. So this is kind of in response to some of the comments that I had. So basically, when I was in Texas a couple of weeks ago, we rented a Dodge Ram, which was a pretty big car. It was really fun to drive. I mean, the suspension was a little bit stiff, but other than that, it was fun just being so high up. But a lot of the comments were like, no, you should have got an F-150. No, you should have got this. You should have got a Silverado. And I was like, okay, what is the actual best type of truck? You know, for next time when I'm around in the States, which truck would be the best to get?
Rev up your engine! Rev up your engine! Today I'm going to talk about the best and the worst pickup trucks sold in the United States these days. Now here I'm talking about full-size pickup trucks. I'm going to start at the worst and work my way up to the best. The worst, as far as I'm concerned, is the Dodge Ram 1500.
You're kidding. Oh my God. All right. Maybe everybody's right. Oh my God. So we picked the worst? Why is it so bad? Like, what?
The Ram pickup was introduced in 1981. They decided to use that Ram ornament, so they're a little bit late to the game. Realize Ford started making their serious pickup trucks right after World War II. So in this case, Dodge was kind of late to the game to begin with, and if you ask me, they never caught up with any of the really good ones. And in 2010, they decided to split Ram away from Dodge. Instead of calling them Dodge Ram trucks, they just call them Ram trucks. But really, it's just a name. And in this case, not much is in a name. The Ram trucks, really, they're like a lot of Chrysler stuff. They make stuff that looks good, flared, fenders, whatever. But when it comes down to the meat of the action, the engine and the transmission, they're not the greatest. I remember years ago when one of the photographers did a show on CBS TV here in Houston. He said, Scotty, I'm buying these two Dodge trucks. I love them. I say, why are you buying those things? They're terrible piles of junk. And he said, oh, well, I got them. I love them. So a couple years later, I came up and said, how those Dodge trucks working out for you? It's this piece of junk. They're always breaking. I should have listened to you, but I didn't. And I went by what I thought looked better. They're not that well-made vehicles. Period. The Ram trucks just have uneven reliability. Every once in a while I get a customer.
But I mean, the one that we had was fine, and we drove it. We put hundreds of miles on that thing, hundreds, in such a short space of time. We didn't have any issues. The only complaint, Jenny, is the suspension. It's very stiff. Despite being so high up, like you could feel everything, like all of the bumps and stuff.
Has one, and they say, yeah, it's been a decent truck. I'm kind of happy with it. But overall, no. And of course the modern Rams, like everyone else, they're following Ford, using more aluminum to make them lighter weight, so they get somewhat better gas mileage. But realize, you get the classic one with that Hemi V8. The engine's a decent engine, but they're tremendous gas hogs. And it doesn't matter what kind of weight you take off of that thing, they're always going to be gigantic gas hogs. Now in 2019, the Ram trucks offered a mild hybrid version with a 48-volt battery to try to regenerate some power, but really, it increased it 10%. And we were talking about something that gets maybe 13 miles a gallon. When you're driving it around, 10% isn't diddly squat. Now, number 4 on my list is...
Wow, okay. So the Dodge Ram is not the next one that I'm going to get when I'm in the States. Okay. I mean, to be fair, now that I've been in one, I've driven one, I think the next one should be a different one, I suppose, just to try something new.
This is a Chevy Silverado 1500. Now here, we'll go into a little bit of history. Back when I was a young mechanic, Chevy and Ford trucks, they were vying for #1. They were pretty close. They both made excellent trucks. But as time goes on, GM quality control has gone down. Now today, I still have some customers with late 80s, early 90s Silverados. They love them. They're still going strong. They had good engines, transmissions, and differentials. But the modern ones, not so great. I've seen engine oil problems. I've seen transmissions go out. I've seen a lot of differentials. The rear ends go out on them. The quality that they used to have just isn't there. Now, GM has been making...
It's so sad that cars, despite the tech being, better in them being newer, it feels like reliability for a lot of car models is just getting worse. Is it that the more complicated they get, the more prone they are to braking, do you think?
Making pickup trucks since 1930, so you figured, hey, they keep improving them. But no, for a while GM was improving stuff, but then they started to unimprove things. And from what I understand, decades ago there was a consensus that the GM trucks were 25% better than the Ford trucks. GM did a little research and said, hey, we're spending 25% more building ours, so let's cut that 25% so we can make profit. They did, and the quality went well below 25%, and it's been going down since then forever as far as I'm concerned. And unlike the competitors, Chevy didn't really upgrade the suspension on these things. You take a 2019 Silverado, you compare it to even the Ram. The Ram rides a lot better. They got a better suspension system, and you can't even compare it.
Wow, so a Silverado suspension is worse than the Ram? Oh my God, I can't imagine how uncomfortable it would be.
The GM to the F-150, where they've really upgraded the ride. And this year they came up with an even crazy idea. They decided to put a 4-cylinder engine in so it gets better gas mileage ratings, which of course are done on a dynamometer, not the real world. You carry a lot of weight or tow stuff, that gas mileage rating is going to go right down the toilet. But I mean, really, people are getting these big trucks. They want a V8 engine, something they can pull. Put a ton in the bed and pull it, and then tow stuff behind it. I think that's one of the dumbest ideas GM has come out with in a long time, and they've come out with some pretty dumb ones over the past few decades.
That looks like a Prius.
Now, number 3 on my list of full-size pickup trucks is a Nissan Titan. I know people are going to say, Scotty, say don't buy Nissan, the quality's... It's a modern design V8 pickup. This was a completely redesigned modern pickup truck. Got a 5.6 liter V8, puts out 390 horsepower. Has plenty of horsepower, very good engine. Now you don't find this really in any of the cars.
And the thing is, Nissan, like, usually Nissan cars are good. You know, they're reliable. They're, you know, Japanese cars tend to, from my experience, my parents have both had quite a lot of Hondas. They last, man. They you could throw a bomb at it and it will still probably drive.
In their trucks. And it has a 7-speed automatic transmission that, unlike all the other transmissions that Nissan uses in their cars, actually has a proven record of reliability. And although it doesn't have the top end speed of some of the bigger V8 engines, it has good towing and payloads. So it's a serious work truck. I've got customers with them that have been totally satisfied. Sure, it doesn't have the name recognition, but pretty well built pickup trucks. Now, number 2 on my list of the good big pickup trucks is the Toyota Tundra.
Looks like the F-150 is going to be number 1 here. Interesting.
Realize they're all manufactured in the United States. They started making them here in 1999, and strangely enough, it's the only full-size pickup truck presently manufactured in Texas. They make them in San Antonio, over there a ways. Now, originally, Toyota was calling a Tundra the T150. Well, Ford says it's too close to theirs. They're planning on suing them. I've got a shirt. As a matter of fact, I got a car show years ago that says T150 on it. Maybe one day it'll be worth a lot of money. Who knows?
Yeah, to be fair, you can't call it the T150. Ford already have the F-150.
But they renamed it the Tundra so it would stand on its own. And these Tundras, like other Toyotas, are proven to be Sherman tanks in terms of how they can keep rolling down the road. In 2016, Toyota bought back a 2007 Tundra that had over 1 million miles. Still the original engine, transmission, and paint job. It still looked and ran good.
1 million miles. Wow. That's crazy. 1 million miles? That's insane.
You can get a 5.7 liter V8 engine, puts out 381 horsepower, can tow 10,000 pounds. They got a lot of power. Now, of course, realize it took a long time for Toyota to make a full-size pickup truck. They're not really pushing big trucks like mad. That's not their main core business, though they make a great pickup. They're not competing with all the bells and whistles Ford and GM and Chrysler that are always changing. They've never really made a large impact on the gigantic market of American big pickup trucks, but they make a great pickup truck. You know, if you don't care about the bells and whistles, it's probably the one you'd want to buy. If you want something that can last a really long time.
Yeah, like if you're like someone who doesn't really care about bougie flashiness, this probably is the one to go for. 1 million miles. So basically, if you do 20,000 miles a year, you could own that thing for 50 years. Oh my God. You're basically your whole life, essentially. That's insane.
and with basic maintenance. It's a good pickup truck. And here it comes, ta-da, the top of the list. I feel the best full-size pickup truck is the F-150. Ford's been building them and refining them for a long time. They really started in 1948 with the Ford bonus build, where they got a pickup truck that had a good long bed in it. That's where really the F-150 started. And the Ford F-Series has been the best-selling vehicle in America for 4 decades. There's a reason for it. They basically build a solid pickup truck that has what people want in it. And they keep perfecting them. A few years ago, when they changed the suspension system of them, so they rode a lot better, I got one, we were driving around it, myself and the wife. What do you think of this? She says, it doesn't ride like a truck. It rides like a car. I really like this. And my wife is someone who said, don't drive me around any of those pickup trucks you get. I can't stand them. They're too high in the air. I gotta climb up to get in it, because she's like 5'1", and they're so bouncy. I can't stand them. Well, she didn't say that when they changed the suspension.
I see. So the F-150 for suspension, for ride quality, is the best, huh? Okay.
They realize what kind of market they have, and they keep perfecting it for the pickup truck. And there's so many different types of F-150s you can get. You can get the classic V8, a V6 with turbochargers, dual turbochargers on them, and they're even working on putting a diesel in it now. But for me, you want a classic pickup truck, get the V8 engine. That's what they were built for. Yeah, you're going to get better gas mileage with the GDI gasoline-injected V6 with 2 turbochargers, but let's face it, that's high-level technology. If you're like me and you keep your vehicles forever, that stuff's going to break, it's going to cost you more money, and with all that extra pressure in the engine, it's going to wear out faster. You're better getting a plain old V8. But there are other new technologies that you can get with it is excellent. They got that 10-speed automatic, which was a hilarious one where it was a joint venture of GM and Ford. Ford did most of the 10-speed truck transmission. GM was working on a front-wheel drive that completely failed. It was a pile of crap, and then they just split up entirely. But the result of this 10-speed automatic is a very good automatic transmission for a big F-150 truck where you can get power and the best gas mileage you possibly can. Realize, it's a big pickup truck. None of them are going to get great gas mileage. They're big, they're heavy, they're not aerodynamic, they're high up in the air. So they're never going to get great gas mileage, but that's not why you buy a big pickup truck.
This is true, man. You're not buying it to be an eco-warrior. Like, you know, then you'd go get a Prius, wouldn't you?
That's why I say Chevy putting this 4-cylinder in their Silverado, big mistake if you ask me. If I want a full-size pickup, I'll take a low-revving V8 engine, tried and true, that can last a really long time. So now you know, the best and the worst full-size.
Man, I cannot believe it. Looks like all of the comments that were roasting me were right in the end. Wow, I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea. Maybe we should have did a bit more research. We just wanted a big pickup truck. That's all we were thinking. And the Ram does look like the most, to me, American one out of the bunch, you know, with the actual goat horns and the massive grille. It just looked American. So I think that's why we went for it. But yeah, next time, F-150. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.